Hello, race fans. Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As you can see, we're here as the racing action is happening here at the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series here at the Phoenix Raceway. I am Zach Hall up in the booth, and joined alongside me is Sam Dyer, and we'll have Robert Moore Jr. running the cameras up top here. Sam, great to be back here at SRU, but man, we got some action here happening very quickly.
Yeah, we already have that of Mark Whitley up front with Hunter Hayward, our two favorites of the season so far. Both of them the winningest drivers coming into this race. Then behind them, we've got Gil Albertengo, who's going to be first start of the season for this 79 team, and also another driver back in 10th place. That's going to be Rodrigo Loga, who's going to be finding himself for this first start of the season. It's good to see drivers coming in, filling up the field. 21 drivers taking the green here tonight at this Phoenix Raceway. 200 laps, Zach. It's going to be a lot. Drivers been talking about the setup, tearing up the tires. That is going to be one of the biggest factors for us to watch out here tonight.
Yeah, from what we've heard, it sounds very harsh on the right front tire, so these drivers are going to have to be very careful. And what I think you're going to see is a few drivers definitely pacing themselves and not trying to burn it up. Right now, I think the leaders up front, they're trying to just run their own race, but I think you're going to see a few guys that really back it up because this race is very, very long, like you pointed out, 200 laps and only 4 sets of tires, so 3 in the pits. If you know what, from what we heard, 20 laps on the tires did a pretty good hurting on a few of these guys' tires. If that's going to be the case for this race, they're going to be pretty much on flat tires by the end of this thing. So, going to have to watch out for that. But I'm expecting to see a little bit of a, saving here as these drivers are thinking for big picture as this race goes on.
Yeah, and these drivers don't have a lot of tires to work with. Only 4 sets they had for the race. 1 that they started out with, 3 in pit road, and only 20 laps in. A lot of the drivers feeling like they've used up practically half of the grip. It's not looking good that they're going to have to be able to make it to the window that they need to get to around lap 51 if they want to make that pit stop for cutting this stint up in those 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch how these drivers do it. And like you said, some new faces out there. Also, a good sized field. We've got some return drivers out there. I believe Cedric Hunter's back out in the field tonight. And that number 11 machine, he's had a few appearances this season. Can't make it all season. So he's one of the rare appearances. And I know he's new to the next gen car, learning it still. And this is the first short track race we've had, technically, Sam. This track right on the edge of being a short track. I think this is interesting to see how this car plays out. It's something new to me. I've never seen this thing race on a track like this.
No, it's completely different to all of us, and that's what's so great about the SRU League is the fact that we are racing in the next-gen cars, kind of getting a sense and a feel about how the cars are going to be reacting. We've seen at the mile and a halfs and larger tracks how powerful the draft is, with it only being at a mile course where a lot of this track is a lot of it being turns. The draft might not be the biggest factor like it's been at other courses, as we're still seeing Mark Whitley up front, Hunter Hayward, and now trying to move forward into the field is going to be Michael Yarrow. Yarrow, driver that's second in points coming into tonight's race and still looking for his first win, being 29 points out from the points lead for Michael Yarrow. He's going to need to get a win if he wants to catch up to that of Mark Whitley.
Yeah, he's definitely going to need some wins here in that bucket if he wants to catch up that points gap built up there from Whitley. Whitley's just been on a tear, but had a few hiccups here and there, so he's definitely showing some chinks in the armor. Has not been unstoppable this season. But here at this short track so far, his pace is showing very, very strong. And there's some good battling back here around the 9th position. Brad Delph's got Derek Love in the rookie there, hanging on to position right in front of Rodrigo Loga, and I believe also Jason Anderson at 92. He had a big moment of 4 there, caught the apron, got a little bit loose and slid back and lost position to Hartwell.
We're also seeing on screen the battling that's going on of drivers trying to figure out how to cut their way forward as we're on board with the 79 of Gil Albertengo, and wondering how to attack as he's got that of Stephen Leffler right on the back bumper trying to make the pass on this 79. Leffler, he had a great showing last week for himself. Just as the only issue that he had was on the longer runs, those tires started to fade away quickly, and we're going to be seeing the drivers that know how to conserve their tires really succeed here at Phoenix, especially with that tire being absolutely riddled after 20 laps. We're only 11 laps, about to be 12 laps into this race. And Zach, we're already starting to see a little bit of a shift of where drivers are running.
Yeah, we definitely are. And I tell you, we got to give a shout out to Gil there. Had qualified third there in the house, dropped back to fourth, trying to hold off that 72 Steven Leffler, who has proven to be a pretty good short track racer here at SRU. And this next gen car definitely brings a new fold into that. But he'll be one to watch out for. But definitely Gil showing strong in his first race. Good to see a new face out here showing pace. Day one driver they're going forward, like we were talking about, Yarrow. He's showing a lot of pace to get on the long runs. He's actually got to the inside of Hunter Hayward now, balanced for that second position.
Second place going to be at Michael Yarrow and also Hunter Hayward, battling strong with one another to the inside. One of the factors of this track, the dog leg being completely opened up, and that's what Yarrow's trying to utilize for himself. Zach, this is what we see a lot on NASCAR. Drivers trying to run as low as possible, but here on iRacing, is that really something that can give these drivers advantage?
I mean, it possibly could, especially with a tight setup. That's going to loosen the car up actually going onto that flat, especially with one tire on the banking, one tire off the banking, which putting those left sides on that flat will help de-wedge the cars, as they say, and actually help the cross weight of that car. Put a little more weight on that right rear and make that car want to turn a good bit more. And so they could be using that to help. I'm seeing a few guys venture down to that line, but what I'm seeing from Yarrow, he enters pretty high. He's running some of the quicker lines up in that third lane, and then kind of comes back down to the second, almost first lane as he exits and does kind of a straight, very straight exit there from that 95. So looking strong, but don't want to push too early. We're only 15 laps in. This is where you can get kind of ahead of yourself and feeling good around your competition and push a little bit too hard. And this is where you can burn up the tire even more.
See different drivers, end of this front pack that we're seeing on board with the one of Todd Neese, trying to figure out how to get by that of Leffler. And we're just seeing this group of drivers. We were starting to see a gap in those first 10 laps, starting to shrink back together from first back to sixth position. Then there's a pretty big gap between sixth back to seventh, where we find that of Steven Stimpian. Stimpian, our winner from last week at Darlington. Kind of a shocker to see a different driver win, but Stimpian certainly had the speed for that 81 to have a great run, getting his first win of the season and being the first driver to beat out Hunter Hayward and that of Mark Whitley. Those two drivers were dominating the first 7 races of this season.
And when we talk about tire wear, he's usually one of the drivers I think of the most. His ability to save tires is by far one of the best around this league. We got to see if they'll come in here as this race goes on. And he was one of the drivers complaining about tire wear in practice, though. So maybe he's learned from the mistakes he made there, has kind of backed his pace up. It did start ninth. He's up 2 spots, but still has backed his pace up, I believe, to here to save maybe a little bit of tire as this race goes on, because at the moment, we're looking pretty green flag here from the going, as it's pretty much single file action as these drivers continue to pace around here 18 laps in.
Yeah, Sim Racer Racing Unleash, we see usually during practice before we go live on the broadcast, drivers trying to practice how they want to get these restarts, probably for about a 10-15 lap run, and then they reset, get fresh rubber, and try it once more. Make sure these restarts are as clean as possible, and we saw a very clean restart for these guys at the start of this race, giving everyone a shot to get in line and now attack one another. We're starting to see a lot of the drivers up front, though. Those front 6, they're on top of one another, but the rest of the field, they've got to figure out where they want to attack, as we're on board with Dave Bush and the 53, about 11 and a half seconds back from our leader, but 53 in 15th position, not bad for himself, but certainly hoping to find a little bit more speed, as he's 7th in points coming into tonight's race with 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, no wins for the 53 machine.
It's been an up and down type of season for Dave. He's had some really great runs right on the edge of winning almost there at some of the racetracks with his teammates there at Smoky Guys. We saw a few weeks their teamwork just really working well in this race car and not letting drivers get by him. But right now, the short track definitely not the best night so far. Up that 1 position so far. But Dave Bush is a veteran. He knows how to get it done. Would not be surprised to see him up the leaderboard as this race comes to a close. But right now, just taking his time with that 10 of Clifton Ashley and the 12 of Kevin Roy there directly behind.
Drivers just taking it easy currently and trying to figure out how they want to attack. But these drivers further in the back, they got to be at least happy that they're still running, looking to see if any of them have any heavy damage, as still watching the battles for this of 15th place. Like you said, Bush, Ashley, Roy, all 3 of these drivers staying pretty close to one another. And then up front, still Mark Whitley trying to pull away. It looked like he was being caught from Yarrow. But these last 3 laps, that 77's found a little bit more pace, pulling away by another 2/10. But luckily for that Yarrow, he's still within less than a second of our leader, so striking distance certainly there, especially with the unknown. We're past 20 laps in. Now it's question mark of, if we stay green, what are these tires going to look like once they come into pit road?
Very true. We're 23 laps in, like you said there, Sam, and the tires, that's when we saw some really big wear points from those tires. So when do these drivers elect to pit? I think, like you said, we're going to have to split this race up into different portions. So they got to go a good bit longer. I would believe you at least need to go to 50. And with the fuel load we have there tonight, I believe, yeah, it is 100%. So the 100% fuel load, you could go close to 100 laps here. I believe they're going to split it into 50s, though, just due to the tire wears. Now we got some action brewing there. Hunter Hayward getting a little bit of pressure there from Gill in the 79 machine.
Alberto, so Tango going to be one of the drivers. His debut race for the 79 for this season. A rookie coming in, and you've been loving to see some of the rookies in the speed they've been having. Derek Love, one of probably their favorites of the rookies that came in. Love's tied for 4th in points coming into this race, but seeing some newcomers coming in, challenging some of these front guys. It's been enjoyable to see throughout this season. This is race number 9 so far of season 10 for SRU, and it's getting to see the next gen cars and how they're going to be reacting. And what a run from the outside coming out of turn number 3 for these drivers, and they're going to be going 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh man, look at the action transpire there. Leffler and Yarrow going to lose the most out of all of that there. Yarrow going to go all the way back to around the 7th position as Todd Neeson, the one's going to get by. Steven Stippian coming up in the picture. Remember, he had a great long run pace at Darlington, starting to show some great long run pace here as he's going to look to the inside of Gill here off of 4, as really is closing up here for the 2nd position as Mark Whitley starts to trot away.
Steven Stempian, we touched on the fact that he is great on the long run. He's caught up to the backpack. He was 8th at one moment, now challenging for 3rd. Here comes the 81, winner of last week at Darlington. Going to be making the pass on Gill, and now has his sights on Hunter Hayward. And as this battling of 2-3 wide actions going on, it's giving plenty of space for that of Mark Whitley to continue to pull away. He went from being within a second of this front pack to now over 2 seconds to Hunter Hayward.
Yeah, right now turning about a 1/10 of a lap faster lap time than the drivers behind him here. As we do actually have out there in chat, have a person out in chat asking about lap time, so we could possibly pop that up here on the leaderboard here to show maybe these drivers' last time by to see how the pace is right here. 28 laps into going, because we talked about tire wear. Stippian has got by now. Same for him is he's probably saved the tire and it's starting to come to fruition. Same with Todd Neeson, the one he's coming for.
Yeah, and looking at the drivers' best lap times, they're almost 2 seconds off of what their best time is to where they are now. As Leffler's going to be trying to duck it low, trying to make the pass for 3rd place, and now side by side with Hunter Hayward, pushing the 21 up, almost contact for that 3rd place position. And looking at the drivers' best times that they put down, Steven Stempian was about 2/10 off of some of the fastest drivers out there, trying to conserve those tires. And he was the driver that gave us the notification of how much tire wear there is. So he kind of knew he had to back off that pace to save his tires for this longer run.
I tell you what, too, looking at the lap times, there's some drivers putting some good lap times down there back there. Derek Love was a driver who's putting down some very good lap times. Cedric Hunter, Brandon Hartwell actually is 29.70 last time by, was the fastest on the racetrack as he goes into the top 10. So a lot of guys starting to break out here late in the going with some great lap times.
Driver that once was challenging in 2nd place has fallen outside the top 10. That's going to be Michael Yarrow as we're watching 3 wide action, and Gill just following back contact. Love, Cedric Hunter as they go into turn number 3. Luckily, everyone holds on, and Rodrigo's got to back off from his pace. Another driver having his debut of the season. He's raced in SRU before, but Rodrigo Loca's able to hold on, but that was a scary situation. Also, another driver trying to cut his way through the pack. That's going to be Brandon Hartwell. Hartwell's doing a great job with the 25, but whew, scary situation for a lot of those drivers.
That was a wild moment through the dog leg there. Hopefully, no major damages. We've seen throughout the season, Sam, so far. Damage on these race cars has not produced good finishes for many drivers. So, want to keep these cars as clean as possible, keep them fenders nice and flared out. But it looks like Cedric Hunter is stabilizing here. So he's got Hunter Hayward directly ahead of him at 21, who is starting to, I'd say he's starting to fall back, starting to struggle a little bit in that 21 here as this run's continued on.
Yeah, a little bit of contact, and also just starting to see drivers that are starting to just not able to hold that yellow line as well as they used to through these corners through 1 and turns 3. And it's interesting to see how the drivers have been trying to adapt with one another and looking at the speed and where drivers are at as we're on board with Hartwell, gain a sense of how to attack these cores. You just see on the exit of the corners, drivers having that loose sensation, trying to hold on the best that they can. Oh,
Yeah.
contact!
Oh.
Also going to be Hunter Hayward as they enter turn number 3, bringing out our first caution. It's the 21 going around.
Oh, man, major contact between him and the 79 and Gill there. Going to send the 21 around there, Sam, and hard into the outside wall. We'll see here on the replay.
I mean, on the entry of turn 3, both drivers aiming for the same real estate, and it just doesn't work out as you're going to see both drivers come in, and 21 gets the worst of it into the outside wall. Luckily, no one else was involved in this incident, but hard contact for Hunter Hayward, and there's no fast repairs. He is now going to have to come into pit road, get that damage repaired, and get back out there.
This will be the true test to see how much the damage affects the cars here at the shorter racetrack, Sam. This track is a little bit higher speed than our normal short tracks, so it will, I think, affect them more than what would say a Martinsville. But man, it might not be too terrible for him, but at the same time, he was already struggling a little bit on the long run. Usually, damage only makes that worse.
Drivers coming in. I'm wondering if it's even worth trying to take tires at this point. I feel like it would put you in such a disadvantage for the rest of the race. But we will have to see if cautions breed cautions. We're seeing drivers getting their left sides up, right sides up. And a couple of drivers making mistakes on getting themselves into their pit box, sliding through. But it looks like Steven Stempian going to be just going with fuel only, while the rest of the field that came in, they're taking tires for themselves. Zach, this seems like a very interesting call, as our top 3 did not even come into pit road.
It's a early time to burn a set of tires this early. I feel like the right call, like you said, Sam, would have been able to not take tires there. I mean, it all matters how it all plays out, but I just would, especially the way we're seeing tire wear already, I would not want to be having to waste a set of tires 37 laps into this thing. That's a long way to go with only 2 sets of tires on pit road for this race.
I mean, if you're taking a set now, you are expecting a lot of this race to now finish or race under caution at this point. As more drivers coming in, looks like that of Ashley as well, as Chamberlain decided to come into pit road when they were thinking about staying out, leaving us with only one driver, Steven Leffler. Only driver that is not pitted. An interesting call for himself, as I'm looking at the field. You got some drivers with old tires, most of the field on fresh ones. Another driver that did not take and just went with fuel only, that's going to be Jason Adams in 11th position for the 24. And he's been notoriously known for not taking a set until much later on in a race. So we'll see for the 24 as he'll be taking his way into pit road if he's going to be thinking about taking a set here or not.
Yeah, he always waits to take his set very late, it seems like. So looks like we'll get him back double filed here as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Yeah, Leffler not pitting there. It's going to give him the track position out front here. Pretty much similar strategy to what Stempian did, but Stempian taking fuel, I like that too. That should help the balance of the race car here and make that car turn a little bit better for him as it's dropped that rear end down with that weight in the rear. So hopefully that helps the 81 for his turn, but right now Leffler going to have control of the field. I think we're going to see pretty quickly the tires get by because just due to the amount of drop off we see.
Well, Leffler is now going to be taking the inside lane, which means that Mark Whitley is in either the best position where he can get a better launch at the start, or he is in a very scary spot as both of our front row drivers, older tires. Pace car is off. We're here at Phoenix, 200 laps, and we're starting lap number 39. Green flag in the air. Great launch for both of our front row drivers of Leffler and Stympian, but we're about to see what fresh rubber really can do here early on. As you can just see the pace of the 77 already back on the gas and on the backstretch, passing both second and first place. Mark Whitley directly back up front.
Yeah, right on board there with Rodrigo Loga. And you can see Whitley taking it all the way downstairs to get the run. Little Loga there stuck behind Stympian. He's going to slide back, and his Delp comes up his inside now. And that 14 machine, Loga losing a few spots. But yeah, those tires quickly going to the lead. That just shows if you have it set for later and we get a caution, you're going to take this lead very fast.
Question is for later on in the race is for that Stympian as well. For Leffler, they did not take tires. They're going to be falling back quickly. But as long as they don't go a lap down, they should be all right. But the question is if they go a lap down, what is the rest of the field going to look like for those final 30 laps? Especially with taking a set so early on. It's Mark Whitley, Tom Neese, Gil Alberto Tango going to be in third place. Brad Delph going to be in fourth, with Rodrigo Loga going to be in fifth position. Those are top five, running quite well for themselves. And Zach, we're coming close to that lap 50. I mean, if you didn't come in pit road like Leffler, you'd think that he would have to come into the pits here in the next 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, he's got the fuel to go a pretty far distance, I believe. I would say at least 80 to 90 laps of fuel he has. Well, not left now, but to that point, he could go about 80 or 90 laps. But the tires is the issue, and that's why we've been talking about that 50 lap point. If he feels like he can stretch it farther, he needs to. But because a lot of these guys are going to be taking it a lot farther in here, but if he does pit, he's going to need to stay green because he's going to go multiple laps down. So there's a lot to play here. Does he risk it and stop at 50 like you said, or does he stretch it trying to maybe get a caution where these guys have to have a risky decision and maybe take that next set of tires? Because that's the thing. If we do get a caution here at some point, these guys who've already took tires like most of the field, they're going to have a very questionable decision if they want to take one of those two last sets of tires they have available to them.
Falling back to see where Steven Stympian has been falling to. He's in 9th place currently for that 81, about to be possibly passed here by the 52 of James Bryan, and Bryan has been trying to make a charge here. Bryan does have the fresher tires, but you could just sense the drivers further in the back kind of a little bit scarce on how well they want to be attacking one another. And as well, here's now Yarrow. Yarrow fell back quickly with a lot of damage he was collecting at the end of that last run before the yellow came out. He was bouncing off the wall a couple of times, started all further back in the field getting those repairs done. So this 95, he's got a lot of work to be cutting his way back up into the top 10 as he's made a pass here on Bryan and now by Stympian.
Yeah, making a good pass there to get some positions back, but yeah, lost a lot of positions there. And that 95 machine was looking very strong there, running up in second, made a mistake, slid back a few spots, then lost a lot more there on pit road. But coming back up through, he's looking very strong at the moment. But yeah, got to give a shout out to some of these guys running up front again. Like you said, Todd Neese, Rodrigo Loga, and Gil Alberto Tango. Those three right there just standing out to me. A great run. Todd Neese had a good run at Bristol, so he's kind of carrying some momentum there. And Brandon Hartwell, we can't look out for him because last week at Darlington, he was looking very strong on that last run. He's up to 5th here and had some really good pace in that last run too.
Now we got drivers that are interested on where Dave Bush is. He's back in 17th position, kind of just in cruise control with that of Hurlbut as well as Derek Love. Those three drivers kind of just lingering around, but are all about half a track length behind where our leader is, and we're kind of in trouble if this race continues to stay green for the next 20 to 30 laps. Could be thinking about going a lap down, which our first short track we had was at Bristol a couple of weeks back, where we saw that Bristol, our leaders in lap traffic, they did not have a good mix with one another.
Not a good mix at all, Sam. They were all over the place, having contact with multiple leaders, lead lap cars, getting into lap cars. I mean, it was all over the place there. So we saw they were never safe there, and it's possible here also, as I was just looking back, and I think I found some information here. Looks like one of the tire sets out there from that first pit stop looked about 44% on the right front tire for one of the drivers out there. So it's definitely very dire tire wear in that first stint. So it's going to be tough with the guys using the setup already. I'm telling you, there may be some blown tires come down to the end of this race.
It was down to that percentage just within 40 laps being ran. And I think we were about 10 to 15 laps away from drivers thinking about coming in to having their first pit stop. As been watching the drivers up front as we have our screen on 8th place runner of Clifton Ashley of the 10, doing a pretty good job here for Clifton, who has ran 6 races so far this season and still looking for Ashley's first top 10 this season, as well as a top 5. Be a great day for this 10 to finish where he's running currently. There's still a lot of racing to go, as some of the drivers that were not able to take tires are now taking them now. Is that a Mike Chamberlain into pit road for the 71? Might be a tire issue coming up for the 70 machine, but up front, our front 3 all within 0.6 of one another.
I tell you, I cannot believe how much they've caught up with Whitley here. I think Whitley has possibly seen the amount of wear he had from that first pit stop, because he wouldn't have seen that amount of wear till they took them tires off that car and or really come to a complete stop when they started working on it. So he probably didn't get that choice there, and he said, man, oh man, the tires are that bad already. I'm gonna have to back this pace up a lot if I want to make it the rest of this race with the timing I took that set right there. So maybe that's the strategy, because his pace has definitely dropped off. He had a huge gap to start that run off. I can tell you what, it was a driver, I believe, saving tires too with that tire wear I was looking at. So it could be very dire, and 50 laps could be at the most what these drivers could do. 53 now, so a few drivers getting to that point now where they might have to pit.
Touched on the fact that our leaders might have to deal with lap traffic. Well, it is now. Our leaders have caught up to those 3 drivers I was talking about, of Derek Love, as well as Dave, that of Earl Butt, as well as Dave Bush. As talked about coming up to lap traffic, and that of Love went into pit road immediately when the lead lap drivers caught up to him. So we'll see if that of Bush decides to come in this time by or not.
Oh, and some close racing between our leader Dave Bush, or not leader Dave Bush, but the car of Dave Bush there in the 53 getting lapped by Whitley there. That was so close between those two as they come by there through 3 and 4. As Bush now gets passed by Todd Neese and Loga there. As Neese almost, or Loga almost into the back of Neese there. Very, very close racing here. Is the guys on old tires that stayed out, they're definitely struggling. I mean, 700 up here 23 seconds behind the leader, left for 23 seconds. I mean, they have definitely fell into the clutches, like almost going a lap down here very quickly.
A driver that just could not, probably was just tired of how his race was going. Jason Anderson in the 92 has decided to park it for the day. As drivers continue to just race around, but our first DNF officially is the 92, but might be just deciding to stay out there of trying to get repairs done. Hunter Hayward still in pit road, has been in his box for over 11 minutes. That does not look good, as more drivers making their way into pit road. As into their boxes is going to be that of Cedric Hunter, as well as Steven Leffler. And for these drivers that are pitting now, they're banking on this race going green from here on out, because if the yellow comes out, they're going to be finding themselves trapped a lap down.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Cedric Hunter blew a right front tire. So that right there, that is about the extent of what you could do. So 57, 56 laps, and the right front tire is gone. These guys who pitted at that early stop, I would be very worried about it with the set of tires they have left.
I mean, the caution came, around lap 30-something, 35? Oh, based off them having to come into pits the time that they did, Ooh, they're going to be close.
They
They
got
are
to go
going to be
another
close
about
at the end of
15,
this
20
thing.
laps.
I think for
Yeah.
these leaders, they are banking on cautions because pace laps will save those tires. But if this race stays green, oh, there's a shot that we might be seeing a lot of this field struggling to even have tires underneath them. If you've seen Cars 1, then you might we might see some Lightning McQueen moments here.
Oh, we very well might. That picture comes right to my head, Sam. We might see him come across the line, no tires and everything. Oh man, that could be wild. But the only thing they have to worry about that is you do get a meatball flag, and what we call that in iRacing is that is the required repair flag. That means you have to come down pit road and get that fixed. If you do not have tires to put on the car, you will not get that fixed. And you will get black flagged. And took it out of this race is the 95 of Yarrow almost into the inside wall there off of 4. That was wild. Oh man, close
No,
there, but yeah, that flag though, if they get that, you are out of this race.
Yarrow and Bush were both racing hard with one another. The way the 51's car just ducked up, it looks like he might have also blown a tire. Luckily did not hit anything, but Yarrow, he was running around the apron, going through 3 and 4, and it just did not hold up for the 95. Luckily, still racing, but a very scary moment for the 95 team of Michael Yarrow.
Well, we'll see if anybody can stretch it to 100, Sam. If they want to get back on track and feel safe about tires, you need to stretch it to about 100. If you can stretch it to 90 at least, that would be a good job by you, in my opinion, because then that's going to set you up to maybe get another 5-10 laps out of it in the next run to set you up where it might be a 50-lap run to the end where you'll feel comfortable making it. But it's gonna be so close for these drivers. If I was one of the guys who pitted early, I would be very worried, especially because a few drivers definitely letting them know that the tires are not going to last.
On board with the one of Todd Neese and getting a little bit of a shot of drivers, how they want to attack the drivers in front of them. And Neese is getting a very good shot of Mark Whitley just trying to run the apron through turns 3 and 4. And it's been a very clean run for the 77. But like we've been saying, tire wear going to be the biggest factor here tonight. Who can survive? And now with the mix of drivers that have just pitted for fresh rubber, we're going to be seeing a major difference on speed. It's about a second to a second and a half is the difference of some of the drivers that have just pitted compared to those that are running out who just pitted under our caution.
Oh man, it's all playing out here right in front of us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in here always on Sunday nights here for SRU Action Cup Series Next Gen Style. And here looks Cedric Hunter. He's going to be going by to get his lap back from our leader of Mark Whitley. That'll put him 1 lap down, so a whole lap down still. But on the different strategy, we could see it come back around at the end of this race if it stays green at the moment. But if a caution comes out, it's going to very well help the guys out there on those tires.
And, you know, we're talking about drivers trying to stretch it to a certain point, but we've already seen that of Cedric Hunter. He's blown his tire trying to push it to lap 58. And if drivers are trying to get to that marker of, you know, lap 90 to 100, there's a chance that if you blow your tire bad enough, you could find your day being almost ruined with the damage that you could be collecting by trying to push it to that marker. So got to be careful as drivers come out of pit road. That was that of Jason Adams of the 24. He's currently 3 laps down. Jason Adams always willing to stretch it as far as he can go, and he got to lap 66 before he needed to get a new set of tires.
Well, right now it's definitely getting pretty wild. These drivers are probably flipping through their black boxes, getting all ready for pit stops at some point because you never know. You might have an emergency. Here's Hartwell's all over the back of Logan now for that 4th position. Hartwell, really good long run pace. Wouldn't be surprised if he's able to drive up here and maybe challenge Whitley. But Whitley has been very, very strong here lately, pulling the gap out from Nice and Loga there as we're 67 laps here in the books. And if you're a sim racer out there looking for a budget sim box, make sure you go check out Budget Sim Boxes because they'll be your source for a button box that does not break the bank. With several different sizes and functionality options, the Budget Sim Boxes, they will fit your price range without breaking that bank, as I said, and they're your source of high quality button boxes at an affordable price. Make sure you can go check them out on Facebook by searching up Budget Sim Boxes, or you can look for them in Facebook on the iRacing Flea Market. So You can use one of the button boxes to flip through your box, black boxes here, as we call them on iRacing, to get there and check those tires, because you're going to have to make sure them things are on, because as we're seeing drivers going through sets of rubbers here tonight, Tim.
And the window of us, we're going to be seeing drivers looking to come into pit road in the next about 20 laps or so. And if you're trying to stretch it as far as you can go for tires, 25 laps might be the window. And that's going to be putting you around lap 90, where drivers are going to be trying to set themselves up. But that's still very risky to try to stretch your car out that long on these sets of tires.
It's a giant risk. So we'll have to see who can do it at the moment right now. This is going to come down to a attrition race. This has kind of changed up anything. I'm not even focused on lap times right now. Really just focused on who is losing pace very quickly, because that's going to be the telltale sign of when that tire goes out. Also, they'll get the meatball flag, so it won't display their lap time for us. That's another telltale sign of the tail of a driver blew a tire. So it's some interesting things going on. This is actually a first for me, Sam. I would believe. I've seen blown tires. I've actually experienced it on the sim before. It's not like a normal blown tire as you can see in real life. It just, the tire just loses all grip pretty much. It's not a sudden explosion or nothing like you see. So it's pretty easy to save, but it's very slow and very tough to drive, and you have to get it fixed immediately. So it's something that happens, but I've never seen this many cases of it for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back of the last time I was just like hearing a lot of cases of drivers blowing their tire. I mean, maybe last week, right? When I'm trying to think of times when drivers might have been blowing tire. I think maybe back to the NAIS CC Cup Series a couple of weeks back at Las Vegas. I think that was a time that we were seeing drivers blowing tires, but that was in a different league. With the current Cup cars here, with these with the next gen, completely, I mean, it was already an unknown on how these cars were going to react at this track, and we're already seeing it, tires brutal. And another factor besides just the setup that's causing the drivers to deal with this real tire issue is the track temp. I mean, we're here at Phoenix in Arizona. We're in the desert. It is extremely hot outside. Finding ourselves on track temp, 129 degrees is the track temp, but the ambient temperature, it's a nice 82 degrees, but that track being 129 degrees and most likely going to be climbing throughout this race, Zach, that is probably the biggest reason why we're seeing a lot of the tire issues that's coming up.
Oh, for sure. The track temp is going to cause a major amount of wear, and I can tell you, just through all the extensive testing I've done, the track temp is one of the biggest things when it comes to wear. You get that higher track temp, it's just a lot more sliding, heating up of the tire, taking that tread off the tire, and that's where you're going to see the more wear scenarios that we're having here at the moment. And like you said, 129 degrees, that is blazing hot here on this track temp. These tires are pretty much just going through, they're just melting to the racetrack at this point as they're sliding around and trying to keep the right front tire on them. It's very, very difficult when the car is this tight. Just got to keep your pace and keep your right foot off the gas.
Of the drivers that pitted already, leading that group will be Steven Stempien, who is currently in 12th position. Biggest issue for Stempien, though, is he is still stuck a lap down. And this is 33 of Mark that's actually leading the charge of the drivers that are a lap down. And he still needs to pit with the rest of the field, our top 11 in that selection of drivers that are in the can we make it onto our tires for the end of this race or not? Which that is over half of the field that's in that question mark bubble of what is their tires going to look like in those final 15 laps.
This is one thing too I didn't think about is we've had all season so far of the next gen car. We've talked about how little tire wear the drivers have experienced over the season. This race, though, completely out of an ordinary of what we've seen so far, and tire wear is, I'd say, cranked up to 11 here tonight as everybody pretty much in management mode. But this makes it a different type of race. As a driver, you're not really racing your competition. It's more racing to your extent of where you're confident that you can get to the point you want to get. And that's a tough decision to make, how far you go, because holding a race driver back is one very difficult thing, I can tell you that.
There are a few drivers that are still late in this stint, as we're still looking about anywhere from 10 to 15 laps from drivers thinking about coming into pit road. A driver that has moved up into second and is trying to run down our leader. That's going to be that of Brandon Hartwell, and Hartwell's doing a great job. Also, that of Gilbert Tango going to be in third position, making the pass on Todd Neese. We're seeing Gil maybe able to move up into third position as Whitley tried to pull away, and he's keeping himself within a second difference between first and second, as we see that of Loga being trying to hold off the lap traffic, that of Derek Love, and here comes now that of Bush. These drivers all currently 2 laps down, that of Love and Bush, and also watch out behind him because he's also going to be having a couple of other lap cars that are trying to get themselves unlapped or trying to put themselves at least just 1 lap down.
All been going on. Brandon Hartwell, he's got the gap down to about 1.2 seconds, 1.1 now to our leader of Mark Whitley, and he is charging for here in this 25 right now that we can buy here to complete lap 80. So right now it's going to be around 40 laps on the tires from when we went green. So in the next 10 laps here, we could see some possible failures of these tires.
Drivers need to make sure that they can get at least to lap 90. If they can get there and not blow a tire, not lose that much ground, they should be just at the mark of making it to the end of this thing. But once we get to lap 50, which is in the next 5 laps of these drivers running on this set of tires, that's when the big question marks of did you overuse your tires or not? And Zach, what are some ways that these drivers can burn up these tires here at Phoenix other than just driving on this hot surface?
Well, the biggest key is going to be a lot of it comes down to your hands and your feet. That is the big thing of driving. Your right foot is going to keep you from burning that right front tire up, not driving too deep in the corner, getting on too much load on that right front tire. So you want to go in. Oh, as we got a caution, that's going to help save the tires right there. So that's a tire saver right there, Sam.
Jason Adams going to be finding himself mixed in with a lot of other drivers that were running slow, and contact made for himself. But man, drivers certainly had themselves mixed around here, as this is an interesting wreck that happened.
Yeah, I think it a little bit of something happened ahead of him. James Bryan in the 52 was a little slow. Cedric Hunter running up on the back of Jason Adams, who was going pretty slow. They're trying to avoid James Bryan, and Cedric Hunter just gets it right in the back of him, sends him down the racetrack, and from there, Jason Adams tries to save it, but goes around in that 24 there, and that's going to bring out the caution. That's definitely going to help out those guys, but they're going to have to stay out on those tires too, though. They can't pit at this point. It's too early.
Yeah, and it still puts a question mark on the drivers that have already pitted on the fact that they're most likely going to have to take a wave around if it's do you want to come in get fuel for yourself. That a little bit of an incident of that of Johnson, and as well it was Clifton Ashley making contact with one another that closed everyone up as our leaders now come into pit road. Oh, if you take tires here, you are for sure in a danger zone for all the drivers that are coming in now. Expecting to see that of Ostempian, also Cedric Hunter, and a lot of the drivers that have already pitted to stay out to get themselves unlapped with a wave around. But the question is, who takes tires and who doesn't here?
Oh, man. I think you just take fuel. Whitley jacks the car up.
They're all taking tires. It. Yeah, they're all taking tires. Oh, no.
They're right in their own wheel here, Sam, in my opinion. This is still too early in my books. 85. We're going to restart around lap 90. So, yes, we will have 110 to go. If they can split it up into 55 lap segments, they should be able to do that. But I can tell you what, we've seen tires blow out around 53, 54, 55, and they had about a 5-lap caution period in between there to help them. So that was really about 50, anywhere from 45 to 50. And I tell you what, those guys weren't far from blowing tires right there before that, because I looked at the lap times that we've seen from drivers who did blow tires there that first run, They were running 30.1s very consistently, and then they started hitting 30.4s for a few laps in a row, and then it was a 30.7, and then a 31.31 as they blew that tire on the next run. So, and our leaders were getting down into the 30.5s and point fours, so they were right on the edge of that zone of a blown tire. So, I I still think this is a risky call taking those tires for sure.
I'm just wondering on taking the tires, why not come in, take fuel that allows you to then come in with one to go? That means the window, the uh, pits won't be closed then. Come with one to go, get your tires then race up, catch up with the field. That way you have a couple of extra laps of saving instead of pacing around here. I know you're not using a lot pacing around, but I feel like trying to save and make sure you're not using up as many laps would have helped these guys on the longer run.
This is I definitely think that right there that was the best situation for him. You had to pit, get the fuel, but don't take tires in and just try to stretch as far as you because this was going to help him stretch to a farther point. And you know your competition behind you has to pit too. I mean, this is definitely a big questionable moment in my head, but we'll see how it works out for the drivers who pit there. I mean, I think you got to go major conservative mode, and they should see their tire wear now, and they should know how close they were to blowing that right front. They could be even more worried than ever right now. So they should know they have the information at hand. We'll have to see how they play with it, though.
What a scary moment that happened for Steven Leffler as Keith Hurlbut kind of disappeared. He was pacing around trying to get his lap back. He blinked back into the race right in front of Steven Leffler, which got Leffler into a precarious spot of almost running in and destroying his front nose. Luckily, there was no contact, but certainly a scary situation as drivers trying to get stacked up and ready to go. Oh, boy. Zach, the tensions, always when there's a caution, those first 30 to 40 laps, it doesn't matter what track you're at, it always makes a twist on who wants to stay out, who doesn't want to stay out. Tires and pitch strategies have certainly usually you don't think of it here at Phoenix. Usually it's everyone's on a pretty similar stint of what they're thinking about for tires and fuel. But here tonight, it's all about pitch strategy.
Yeah, you know, you always think of pit strategy, how it can bite you and how it can help you in certain situations as a driver. But this is some consequential pit strategy tonight. These guys have big decisions to make. It's not, oh, am I going to lose positions? Is my strategy going to be slower than this guy's strategy? It's their strategy is pretty much, am I going to make it to the end with the amount of set of tires I have and the rubber I have available to me? That's the big question they got to be asking themselves. And I tell you what, I'm glad I'm up in the booth watching it because this is very entertaining from the outside perspective for sure.
Yeah, from the outside perspective, we can make all the calls we want. We can say, hey, that wasn't great. That was awesome. But man, in the driver's seat, that is stressful currently of making sure that you've got yourself in the right spot. Pace car pulls off. Mark Whitley out of Brandon Dolph. We are green. As Mark Whitley trying to get up front as fast as possible for himself. And the big question mark of tires continues to linger over this field.
Yeah, and going green here on lap 89. So going to have 111 green laps here available to him. That's still a long distance to go with one set of tires available. That's the thing. One set available for 111 laps. Ooh, if I'm those drivers, I'm definitely worried right here. Look at Steven Stippian working his way on up through here in the 81. They took the wave around this last time by.
Yeah, Stympian's going to be on about 39 lap old tires, and with now going to be having a little bit of help trying to get by some of the other drivers around him. As you've also got their glove cutting his way through and still bouncing and rubbing off one another. Kevin Roy and Love trying to get mixy there with Busch right behind.
Oh, man, it's definitely getting a little mixy there. Busch, he's going to have Cedric Hunter now on the 11 machine cone onto his inside here on lap 91. Now, Sam, the question is, when do those drivers pit? Remember, they blew tires around lap 55, 56. Do they try to stretch it past this 100 lap point, especially with that caution available to them? That is pretty similar to what we've seen last run. So I'm imagining 105 will be the target point for them possibly.
Yeah, 102 to 105 is that magic number for the drivers that took the wave around, especially for that Steven Stympian. I think for Cedric Hunter, Leffler, as well as Derek Love. They're kind of in that spot of they can make it to 105 with pretty much safety feelings. Anywhere past that, that's when you're in a risky spot. Sempian is in at risk if he tries to go to that 105 marker, but just getting past lap 100 and then coming into pit road, you should be all right to make it for the drivers that still have 2 sets of tires. But we still have about half the field that have already used 2 sets, and we're not even halfway through this race.
Yeah, that's the funny thing we're talking about right now is just there's some guys in some bad situations. It looks good for them right now on the leaderboard. So a lot of guys up here, really our top 7, I would say, in that are in that position right now. Of, they're looking good right now. Got the new set of tires, but 1 set left. It's looking bleak for them as this race goes on. The longer it goes, the worse it's going to turn out for them, and the better it's going to turn out for drivers such as Steven Stimpy, Cedric Hunter, Steven Leffler. Those 3 really going to be looking to charge forward as the race go, and I wouldn't be surprised if those are the 3 we're talking to in the top 3 if this plays out the way I'm thinking it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, we've got an idea of how this race is going to go, but in actuality, the race certainly can change for some of these drivers that we think are in pretty poor positions tire-wise. As this is short track racing, we know the tensions are going to rise at some point, and there's always that looming cautions that could come out in those final 50 laps to save a lot of these drivers. As looking at the pack, currently going to be led by Steven Stempian. He's got Derek Love, who's a lap down, trying to battle side by side. Both drivers on those older tires than one another, as you also got that of Cedric Hunter and Steven Leffler all mixed in. And we've got 12 drivers on the lead lap. And of the 12, we've got ourselves about 7 to 8 drivers that are in that window of we don't know if they're going to have enough tires to finish out the final 10 laps of this race if we stay green.
Man, this is setting up to be a classic finish here, Freaky Fast Broadcast, and I'm excited to see who's going to be able to make it and which driver is going to have to retire from this race late in the going with tire issues. I mean, that's that's going to be one for the books for sure. I think we may be remembering this one for a long time here at Phoenix, as SRU never one to surprise. As here at the Next Gen Car, they're bringing us the future action that could be a little bit surprising at times.
Absolutely. And seeing some of the drivers, I threw out the thought of trying to stay and wait until 1 to go to come into pit road. The driver that did that strategy was Rodrigo Loga, who's right now in 6th position. He's 7 seconds, he's 9 seconds back from our leader, but I'm kind of liking the strategy of trying to stay out a little bit later before getting that final, that second to last set of tires that the 78 has, trying to give him the best shot to make it to the end.
I really like that. That's a great strategy for Loga there to do that. I think he's on what the leader should have done personally. So good call from him there. As we'll see how it works out for this, and we actually do have a pretty good question out there about do we feel like cutting the dog leg hurts the tires more or less? That's a good question. It can. In these hot slick races like this, like when you go down there, sometimes the car can get upset and slide the tires. It's really about how much grip is available for these drivers. And tonight, really, I would say it can. And I can tell you another thing. In practice, I know a few drivers were talking about damage being caused by going onto that dog leg on the rear quarter panels of these cars. So got to be very careful about bottoming out the rear there, going down onto that unbanked surface there from that transition.
Yeah, and drivers have to pick and choose how aggressive they want to be. As we're coming to halfway here, we know some drivers still have 2 sets of tires. Others still only have 1. Still a lot of question marks of when and who is going to survive at the end of this race and when are people going to pit. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, all those questions should be answered. Thank you for watching the Sim Racing Unleashed Season 10 here on That of Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back in just a few.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Makoni Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Makoni Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Makoni Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MakoniSetupShop.com and learn why Makoni Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
All right, we're back here, everybody, at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as we're continuing on our green flag run here at the SRU Cup Series, here with the Next Gen Cup Series car. Let's give a special shout out to all our sponsors that help make it happen. We gave a shout out to Budget Sim Boxes. Let's give a shout out to ButtKicker. Every game deserves a truly immersive experience. The ButtKicker Gamer 2 lets you feel every detail, from subtle footsteps to the rumble of a V10 powered race car. By moving to physical mass instead of only air, the Gamer 2 provides instant, accurate, powerful base response, and it's all perfectly in sync with every game with no additional software required. So make sure you go head on over to ButtKicker.com, where you can use our promo code FreakyFast20 to get 20% off of any purchase there at ButtKicker.com, where you can get yourself a Gamer 2 and you can feel what you've been missing. And remember, that's promo code FreakyFast20 to get 20% off of any purchase there at ButtKicker.com. Let's also give a special shout out to the Makoni Setup Shop. The Makoni Setup Shop is your home for iRacing setups and the official setup shop of the Richmond Raceway Esports team, fielding the number 46 and 90 in the Coca-Cola iRacing series of Jimmy Mullis and Zach Novak. With everything from legends to cup cars, we've got you covered. Dirt setups for late models, modifieds, and wing sprints are available as well. Coaching with professional drivers such as NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion Zach Novak, his teammate Jimmy Mullis, River Hayes, and many more also available. And remember, at the Makoni Setup Shop, there are setups, but they're your victories. You can head on over to www.makonisetupshop.com today, where you can use promo code FFB10 to get 10% off of any purchase of a setup there at the Makoni Setup Shop. And also, about to put out in chat here a link for a giveaway we got going on here at the moment with Freaky Fast Broadcasting and the Makoni Setup Shop, where we're giving away a coaching lesson of your choice there at the Makoni Setup Shop with Jimmy Mullis. So that'll be very, very cool. So I'll go ahead and put that out in the chat if you want to enter that and get yourself possibly a chance to talk to a Coke Series driver and pick the brain of one of those guys. Actually, I think that is the wrong link. Actually, I believe actually we'll get that there in a second. I thought I had it and I didn't. So we'll get that in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. And we can get anybody technically under coaching. I'm getting the word. So it's any coaching available there. So it's your choice. And you can enter the link. So it's very, very awesome. And you can learn some oval tips there from the Makoni Setup Shop. So thank you to Makoni Setup Shop for sponsoring us and being a part of Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But thank you to all the sponsors here tonight. Let's get back to the racing action. It's all transpiring here, Sam. Talked to a few drivers, and it's very worrisome for the drivers who have one set of tires left for sure.
Yeah, the drivers are in our top 8, all in that window, and we, you talk to some of those drivers, Zach, it doesn't look good that they're going to be able to even make it to the end of this race. And even if they blow a tire, I mean, you're going to be so off the pace compared to everyone else that you're just going to be finding yourself going a lap or two down, at which we've already seen some drivers deciding to park it for the day, as we've had a total of 4 DNFs, that of Mark Kosick, as well as that of Keith Hurlbutt, James Bryan, and Jason Anderson. Those 4 drivers have parked it for the day. Hunter Hayward had to go back into pit road after coming back out for about 3 laps. Looks like he might be just done. But look at the rest of the field. It has all been about tire strategy. A wreck that happened around lap 38 came out of Hunter Hayward's misfortune. But for us up in the booth, for the audience members, and for the drivers out on track, it has opened Pandora's box on how the drivers were going to be attacked the rest of this race. Less than half the field decided to only take fuel or even just stay out to conserve a set of tires, while the rest of the field did come in to take a set of tires, and now they're in a question mark of they might blow a tire with anywhere from 10 to 15 laps to go at the end of this race.
Yeah, it's not looking good for that situation for the drivers with the one set left. I can tell you we had some possible drama maybe out here on the racetrack too as a caution comes out.
Rodrigo Loga going to be bringing out the yellow for the 78. And
I think that was a tire.
Yeah, that was a tire that blew, and that was under 40 laps when this happened. And oh boy, does this mix things up. This is still too soon. Yeah, that looks like a blown tire.
Oh, this is interesting too because it puts Leffler, I believe, back on the lead lap because he'll most likely be the lucky dog. So he's going to benefit from that. Cedric Hunter's going to come up a little bit short, but what do the other drivers do? They only have one set of tires left in 123, like you said, Sam. That's too early.
The only thing that helps these drivers is the fact that now they can pace. They can try to save their tires for at least 5 to 6 laps, but they're going to have to probably come down for a little bit of fuel, I would imagine. Which for the drivers that have already pitted, they take that wave around. They'll have the freshest tires, and it might be a complete switch. And this yellow now is going to be putting everyone in a very interesting spot as Rodrigo Loga going to be parking it for the day after that incident. And it was good to see Rodrigo out on track for his debut of the season, but a quick ending goes to himself, as only looks like that of Yarrow coming into pit road with Kevin Roy. Those drivers, they cannot take a set of tires here. They have to be only coming in for fuel.
Yeah, again, if they take a set of tires, this is, I mean, they're just making their race end sooner, I guess.
Yeah, just go out there, put down the fastest lap, get out of there. It was a good run. As these drivers came into today's race with only 4 sets of tires, 3 in pit road. And with it being 200 laps, the window we were given before the tires were going to start to blow on them was around lap 50 to 56. That was around the window we were initially given, but with the timing of that blow up for the 78, that was only 38 laps into a run. That's a huge question mark for even the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's a scary moment for sure. That puts it in a situation where it could be happening earlier. I mean, that makes me so worried for a lot of guys out here. Whitley's got to be one of those drivers here. So he'll be looking to line back up here with the lead. But, man, it's going to be in a tough situation. At the same time, you got guys like Cedric Hunter. He's caught a lap down with Steven Stippian also on that strategy. They got caught a lap down by Leffler, got the lucky dog. He's the one who looks the best off in this situation, as it looks like he'll be coming up pit road even to top off. So that 72, he could be our race winner when this all ends up.
Drivers that are in wild situations, but they're 3 laps down. Dave Bush and also that of Mike Chamberlain coming down into pit road. They actually were able to stay out much longer than the rest of the field, but because they were so off the pace, they now are trapped 3 laps down. So kind of similar to some of the other strategies we've seen throughout the season of drivers trying to stay out as long as possible, conserving those tires, but it utterly kind of puts you on the back foot so much that even if your strategy works out of cutting down a pit stop or saving a set of tires, you're too many laps down to even try to contest for a win or a great finish.
Another thing they got to worry about, like I said, that with that flag, the required repair flag, you can only have it for about 3 or 4 laps before you get that black flag, and that's where you'll get disqualified for that. So, you know, you got to hope that tire blows out with about 2 to go if you want to be able to make it with that flag. So it's possible still with a blown tire to come across the line. I mean, it's happened in motorsports before. Trust me, there's plenty in my memory to think of drivers coming across the line with blown tires. So it's happened before, but could it be tonight here on Freaky Fast Broadcast? And don't miss out, because we're about to go back Green Flag Racing to see who can make it with the amount of tires they have left.
Well, even if they blow a tire and they have what we call the meatball required time to get repaired, if they cross the line with that requirement, they'll be having to finish last practically in the field. So if we got a ton of drivers finishing last, who knows? It'll be kind of a roulette on where you finish as the pace car pulls off. Mark Whitley, Todd Neese, Brandon Hartwell, as well as Brandon Dolph, and also Gil Alberto Tango, as they are already 3-4 wide going into turn number 1, further back in the field. And the mix-up of drivers that have got fresh tires, those that got old ones, it's now, it's all up in the air. The driver to watch out for, gotta be Steven Leffler with the freshest tires, but he's stuck behind a lot of new drivers. Cedric Hunter contact with the 70 holds on.
Gil just had the save of the year. Like, man.
Well, it's not over yet, as he's still got Kevin Roy. Also love trying to figure out how to get by him, and it's got so many drivers, those that are a lap down with fresh rubber, trying to cut their way through. And we touched on the fact that lap traffic could be influencing those on the lead lap. We kind of saw it there.
Well, I also think you got Cedric Hunter, Steven Stippian on newer tires right now, trying to cut through the field here as lap down cars, because they know if there's going to be any more cautions, they need to get their lap back here very quickly, as they're trying to get up here past Hartwell now for the 3rd position. So, yeah, Cedric Hunter and Steven Stippian, we talked about saving tires all night. I don't know how much tires they're saving right now as they're trying to get by these drivers up ahead.
Trying to get aggressive, make sure they're the first car lap down. And Steven Stippian, he is trying his hardest to try to get by the 11, the Cedric Hunter currently, as they are behind our leaders, that of Todd Neese, as well as Mark Whitley. If we've got lap cars passing lead lap cars, this could be giving an opportunity for Neese or even that of Hartwell. If we find a little bit of a mix-up as side-by-side of the lap cars, this is the battle for who's going to be getting that lucky dog position if a yellow flag waves. And it's going to be Stippian taking that lead spot over that of Cedric Hunter. But now the battle for the lead. Todd Neese, Mark Whitley, they're trying to get mixy, but it's kind of difficult when you got lap traffic trying to unlap themselves the hard way.
Yeah, here comes Stippian, here comes Hunter. They're going to unlap themselves here possibly, as Whitley's going to be the next car to get that done for them. I tell you what, Stippian, for having as much right side damage on that right front as he did, he sent it into one on Cedric Hunter and made it stick, and was able to get the pass done here. So they're going to be looking now to get by our leader as they go down the dog leg here, down the back straightaway. Look at that power as the 81 pulls side by side with the 77. He's going to let him by here. That was very close between those two.
Whitley got a little bit squirrely on the entry of turn 3, close to the outside wall. I think he was able to hold on, but yeah, we kind of touched on the fact of going through the dog leg is adding some slight rear damage to these cars. You're starting to see it grow a little bit more for some of the drivers that have been running the dog leg lap after lap. But you also can see on screen all the marbles that are on the apron. Could that be a factor for some of the drivers that if they get too low or run a little bit too high?
It very well could. You go down on those marbles, it upsets the car, especially when you got hot tires. That's when they're the stickiest, and that's when they're going to pick up most of the marbles, and that's going to cause an issue. As you see Dave Bush there in the 53, he's trying to work by here also and get one of those 3 laps back to get a 2 laps down here, as Whitley's directly ahead of him. He should be able to have the run out of 2 here to be able to get to Whitley's back bumper down here to 3.
Drivers for lead lap cars, they have been on these tires for over 48 laps, and that is some concern for our top 8 on it. How well are they going to be able to hold on for their tires for these next about 6 to 7 laps?
This is where it's getting down to some interesting moments. Can they make it to 150? If Whitley can do that as the leader, he should feel pretty confident still about maybe possibly making it to the end of this race. But any earlier than 150, I think that puts it in a pretty interesting situation, as Todd Neese and Derek Lowe battle, but Love 3 laps down, going to get one of those laps back to go 2 laps down in that 13th position, gets by second place Neese.
Now, the drivers that are more than 1 lap down, such as Derek Love, Mike Chamberlain, I've seen both of them be able to stretch the tires out further than 60 laps. but it came with the cost of running over 30 seconds, running anywhere from 30 to 34-second lap times. They lost a lot of ground that put them 2 laps down, that allowed that of Chamberlain to run 70 laps on a stint of tires. But if you're running that slow, you're going to be finding a lot of this field unlapping themselves, and always the lingering shot and chance of your tires being blown with how aggressive we saw Mark Whitley, Nice, Hartwell, the rest of our top 7 being early in the runs to make sure that they could keep up with one another.
Yeah, this is one become by here now to complete 136. Still going to be looking to make another 14 laps here on these tires. As solo to do is Hartwell behind there. You see Nice go up the racetrack here in the 2nd position. Hartwell going to take the 2nd spot back from him. You know, this is going to be very fun to watch as this boat's out. Looking at the lap times, 30.26 for Mark Whitley up front. Like I said, usually when you started hitting 30.1s and 30.4s, that was close to the region of a blown tire. We'll see if they can make it another 14 laps. I think that's going to be tough to do.
Driver that's in most concern for me has to be that of Michael Yarrow back in 6th position. He is extremely slow, just ran a 31. So did Todd Nice. Those drivers, Nice, he's slow. I think he might be blowing a tire here shortly for the 1, or he might have already done it. Oh boy, it's the danger zone. We're 53 laps into a run for these drivers that are in our top 5. Ooh, it's time to cross your fingers and hope you survive another couple of laps, because they're aiming for lap 150. But it doesn't look good that they're going to make it that far.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to do. And right now, even the leader, 30.19, that's a good sign. I don't think the tire's going to be gone yet with that type of lap time, but Nice and Yarrow definitely one struggling right now, running 31 flat for both those drivers. Looks like Yarrow was able to bring it back down to 30.4, but I tell you what, when I saw the 31 times, that was usually when the tires were pretty much blown.
Challenged is Mark Whitley by a driver that you rarely see challenging our leader to try to unlap himself. It's Jason Adams, able to make the pass on Mark Whitley, which is now given a shot for that of Hartwell. Looking a little bit closer on the 77, but our eyes on how are these drivers going to attack the entry of these corners. You touched on it, Zach. The drivers, when that tire goes, you just have zero grip on turning, and that car just wants to go straight when you enter these corners.
Right here, completing 140. 10 to that 150 point, like we said, they need to make it to if they want to do 50 green flag laps, especially. Caution, I think, is definitely going to help, and that caution definitely did help them stretch it to at least this point. But the driver I'm watching right now, Steven Loeffler, did he take his set of tires?
Remember, Loeffler is one of those drivers that was on the set that can make it. He came in with fuel on when he came into pit road, got the lucky dog spot. So Loeffler, who is on the lead lap, is one of those drivers that is to the good. He can easily make it to 150.
That's right. He's on fresher tires than these guys too. So that's why he's really storming up through. That lucky dog for him, that caution was the best possible thing that actually worked out for him, because he's been able to drive himself up in here into position. Loeffler looking to be the man to beat possibly when this all comes down to the end.
This is when things are risky. You got the fresh rubber. I mean, Loeffler could get aggressive, but do you even want to try the risking passing someone on the outside? Because if they blow a tire, they're going to come drifting up into you.
Yeah, that I think you're exactly right about that, Sam. You go to the outside, you're taking a huge risk. You're pretty much asking and hoping that driver in front of you doesn't blow a tire. Here is Gill's going to take the inside move to Hartwell, and with them racing side by side like this is even dangerous.
Oh, it's just, you don't know if any of these drivers are going to make it when they're side by side. You just got that anticipation as we continue to watch and see if these drivers can even make it. Again, the window we're looking for, if the drivers can make it to around now, if drivers are now in the window, they can make it from here to the rest.
Yeah, they should be able to make it. The only thing that concerns me there is we haven't seen a green flag run that long, technically, because we've had a few caution laps to make it that point. So if they get some cautions, they definitely can make it from this point. So at the end of the day, it could work out for them. But here now, 5 laps till the point where I really feel confident with the green flag run on tires. It's still in an interesting zone. And right now, 30.91 that is about right in the region of a blown tire lap time.
As it's gonna be Alberto Tango to the lead, as he's got Steven Leffler to his behind, but the 79 led last lap, gonna try to lead this lap. New leader is Mark Whitley, losing ground, falling back to third place, could be losing even more ground than that. Todd Neese into pit road for the one, and he overshot his pit stall. That's losing time.
Yeah, that's not going to be good overshooting your box there, so going to lose some time in that one machine. But got to give a shout to Gil. There's right on board with Alberto Tango, our leader. I don't know what type of strategy he's pulled, but somehow he's able to make the tires last at this point, and he has driven himself to the lead here and coming to by here to complete lap 146. He's looking to put himself in position possibly to win.
Just keeping my eye out on Mark Whitley as well as Hartwell for myself, and Whitley is slow. He is crawling around this course, and Hartwell is trying to make the pass work, but it's so difficult when you got all these drivers on older tires on how well can they really attack these corners. Is Hartwell going to be making the pass on the outside into the pits? Is going to be that of Mark Whitley.
Yeah, I always think it was right on the edge of a tire being blown there for him also, because it looked very tough to hold it on the bottom lane, but he's going to come down. And that's going to be lap 147 in the books, so that's going to be 53 laps for him to do. He can do it, but if this thing stays green, it's still in the danger zone.
And also, Michael Yarrow got himself into pit road. Now he's coming out. Should be able to make it, these drivers, on where they're at, but we've already seen drivers that were super aggressive trying to get up front, such as Rodrigo Loga. He blew his tire on lap 38. Oh man, you just got it. From this point on, it is all conserve. Save those tires and hope you got enough to try to challenge someone in those final 5 laps maybe.
And now the question is, we're right on board here with Leffler, right behind Alberto Tango. When does he pit? When does Alberto Tango pit? These guys right now here coming off of 4. Alberto's got a decent run, so Leffler to the back bumper though still, as they come by and complete 149. Next time by, it'll be 50 to go. I think if you're Leffler, stretch it a good bit farther here and have the tire advantage on those drivers ahead of you.
Gil Alberto Tango has been out there for 65 laps. He's had some caution laps to help conserve these tires, but he's been staying out there as long as he can. Same goes to Hartwell, Dolph, Roy. They've been staying out there for so long. Impressive to see them stay out as long as they have. They've gotten to that 150 marker. They're good to make it to the end. And now is the question for the rest of the field, besides that of Mark Whitley, Neese, and Yarrow. When does the rest of the field come to pit road?
I think also the question is, what kind of pace does Whitley and them run? We've seen him run some really quick lap times, but I just worry about that. And right now, Hartwell hitting pit road. I think Hartwell might have had a big issue in blowing a tire, because he was really, really slow this time getting into pit road.
Getting into pit road now for the 25. He had lost over 5/10 because he hit a 30.0 into pit road, getting service done for the 25. But once you're at this mark, you're now less than 40 laps. You feel like you can get a little bit more aggressive on your tires on how well you want to go. You might be questioning, why has Steven Leffler not made the pass on our leader yet? Well, the lap times have kind of equaled out to one another, as for that of Leffler, he's been on this set of tires for over 45 laps. So we've seen the lap times plateau, and now it's just a waiting game on when drivers are thinking about making the pass. Also, lap traffic could be a factor here, as that of Jason Adams. When we went green 20 laps ago, he passed Whitley and pulled away, and that lead pack is now caught up. And speaking of Mark Whitley, he's trying to unlap himself behind our leaders.
Oh man, there he's coming up through now, trying to get that lap back like you said there, and there he will. So now back onto the lead lap. Leffler and Alberto Tango seeing this. When do they come down pit road? My question, I believe Alberto Tango still has a set of tires. I think he just saved his tires very well.
Yeah, he still needs to come into pit road, as into pit road now. It'll be that of Dolph coming in for himself. But for all the leaders that are out, such as Mark Whitley and all the others, they're going to be out for quite a long time, and got a question on, are they going to have a big enough lead to hold off the drivers such as Alberto Tango and Kevin Roy? Will they have enough time to hold them off? Also, for Steven Leffler, it looks like he's coming into pit road for the 72.
You're here on 155. So gonna go an extra 5 laps from that 150 point. I'm interested to see when does Steven Stimpy and Cedric Hunter, who won similar strategies to Leffler, see when those two decide to come down, because they're definitely losing a considerable amount of time to drivers who have pitted. But Jason Adams here racing with our leader, Gil here on the outside. It's like he'll get by, but does Gil come down pit road? Yes, he does. He doesn't wait another lap. He's coming down pit road.
I mean, incredible by Gil to be staying out. He went a lap longer than Steven Leffler, which Leffler had the 20-lap fresher tires than the 79, but still had to pit just a little bit earlier. I think also an understanding of they don't want to lose too much ground to Mark Whitley, who is going to have a massive lead that you have to figure out how to conserve your tires and be aggressive at the same time, which it's almost impossible to do both.
I tell you what, looking at lap times wise, dude, Gil really slowed it down in the beginning of the run with these new tires last time. I'll be interested to see if he runs that similar pace, or does he actually go all out here, because he's definitely not going to. If he does, he's going to possibly catch up. But if he doesn't, he'll need a caution to be reset back up with those guys.
And for that of Mark Whitley, after he made his pit stop, he has been in go mode since the start. That is a big, big question mark for the 77. If he is not saving at all, and he has just been on get the big enough lead that he has, you got to be questioning around, those final 10 laps of this race. What are those tires going to look like? For that of Mark Whitley, currently running in 4th, trying to get by Cedric Hunter and Stympian, and he's going to go 3 wide as they're coming through 3 and 4, and he's going to be on the apron and making it work for the 77. He goes from 4th and now trying to move up to 2nd.
Finding grip where there is none, the 77 of Whitley making good use of the newer tires, and look at that, by the 2 guys who've yet to pit and driving away. I think these 2 here waiting to take their last set of tires, because if they wait long enough, they could have a fresher set of tires, or if they catch a caution, they could have the freshest set of tires.
I think that caution might be the biggest thing they're watching out for. Kevin Roy going to be getting out of his box, and back into pit road is Hartwell for the 25. Issues for that machine.
Oh, yeah, Hartwell must have had some type of issue, like you said there. So back down for him. That's not good. I don't see no damage on the race car, so... Well, actually, there is a little bit of right side damage. I don't know if that's from Xing or hitting the dog leg, but man, he's definitely struggling.
It looks like coming out of turn 1, he's brushed it multiple times, and that's what's forcing him come into pit road for Hartwell, and now he's going to be 2 laps down. Tough to see as Dave Bush now into pit road for the 52, as we keep our eyes out on 2nd place. Cedric Hunter, Stympian falling back just slightly as Kevin Roy with those fresher tires cutting his way through. Oh man, I'm Leffler, is one of those drivers that we feel comfortable and confident about. Same goes to Gil, and now it's can they run down Whitley? The gap between the 72 and also for the 79. For that of Leffler, it's a little bit under 10.5 seconds, about to be 10 seconds now, between Leffler and Whitley. For that of the 79 of Gil, he is 11 seconds back from our leaders. A lot of ground needs to be made up for those drivers, as we're less than 40 laps to go.
Oh man, this is going to be one wild way to finish here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. This is just wild stuff, because really looking at lap times, they're definitely pushing pretty hard, the guys who pitted for tires. So it's all out from here on out. I mean, you can't help but go all out, because you're trying to stay ahead of your competition and win this race. But if you push too hard, do you kill the tires? And do they go all the way off? Because we haven't seen a full run of that length yet, due to cautions really coming out in the middle of those runs.
Yeah, we're still waiting on a long green flag run, which It's always been a driver blowing a tire that has brought out a yellow, or our first wreck was a little bit of contact being made between the 79 and the 21 of that of Gill and Hunter Hayward. But ever since then, it's been tire issues that have brought out the yellows, that have put us in these question mark scenarios. And now it's Mark Whitley, Todd Neese. They are doing their best with the extreme undercuts that they have done. They've got themselves a massive lead. But the question is, how big is it? A big enough lead? And do they have enough tires to make it to the end? I think Todd Neese and Whitley are the biggest question marks. Everyone else should be good to make it, as long as they aren't pushing too hard on those tires.
And we're looking at Leffler. He's getting caught by Gill behind him there. So Gill is really doing a great job there in that 79 machine. First race out here, he's already showing great pace. And I tell you what, he could be a guy looking to threaten for wins each and every week, especially with how good he played his strategy. I mean, he stretched the tires farther than anybody did, was able to get to a point where he felt completely safe about pushing to the end. He may now be in position to win this race because they're running Mark Whitley down very quickly. I mean, 29.40 out front to Leffler's 29.99, and a few laps Whitley, there's a 55. So it's about 6 to a half a second, 6 tenths to a half a second each lap. That's a pretty quick time they'll be there.
Factor we touched on about 50 laps into this race was weather. How has the track temp been? Well, it's only gone down 1 degree. It's still 128, as on the inside, forcing it 3 wide, backing out. Oh, gotta be careful. Gill he's got the speed, but just in a tough spot to make a pass on that of Todd Neese. Neese, he is in complete save mode, it looks like, for himself. Almost already back to running 30-second lap times, as he's only 23 laps into this run for himself. There's also Stempian trying to make his move forward. Goal to unlap himself again for the 81. His driver he's trying to run down is Kevin Roy. But looking at this field, where drivers are, Steven Leffler, he had himself about 11.5 seconds when he came into pit road trying to catch up to the 77, and Mark Whitley, he has now cut it in half. Still a lot to work on for Leffler, but with the amount of laps that are left, still very possible for him to catch up to Mark Whitley.
Yeah, and a few guys still not yet to pit. I believe one of the only ones yet to pit is Cedric Hunter. He's in that 6th position, still out there, running 30.84 on the old tires that he pit from around lap 105. So he's really stretched it this run to be able to get to this distance. And I think all he's trying to do here is get a caution. He's probably going to run that tire till it blows out, because if he has to pit, he's definitely not going to get back up there with the amount of time left in this race. If he gets a caution, though, and we get a restart, he's going to have the freshest tires of anybody in the field with a brand new set.
Yeah, I mean, we got drivers that are mixing it up with lap traffic and lead lap cars, but for position, the closest battle that's going on is for second place, where you've got that of Gill and also that of Leffler. They're on top of one another, and you can also throw in the lap car of Steven Stempian. He's going to be trying not to put himself in a tough spot, but he's trapped behind following the 79. Better run. Leffler losing ground quickly, and he went from second back to third and was leading by about 2 tenths entering that corner. He's now fallen back to 7 tenths, and looks like he is overworking that 72. We saw that of Rodrigo blow his tires about 38 laps into a run. If we're seeing these drivers already working this hard and slowing down already this much, woo, tires might blow again. And that late caution that Cedric Hunter's looking for, it could be coming up here very shortly.
It very well could be. I mean, you have no guarantees at this moment, in my opinion, with how the car is driving. And right now, Gill feels confident he can drive away from Leffler and keep onto the tire, because he's still got to run Whitley down. And right now, I mean, he's running him down almost a second a lap. It's he'll be there within 2 or 3 laps, really, to Whitley's back bumper. I don't know if there's anything Whitley's going to be able to do.
Oh, there's absolutely nothing he can do. I mean, if Whitley did everything in his power to try to get himself up front, I think the biggest thing for Whitley is that he's got himself in the middle of a train of lap cars. Could be something that could help block for him, but it looks like those lap traffic machines are trying to get by the 77, which is another reason why we're seeing Gill catch up as fast as he has been. It's Kevin Roy, as well as Ashley trying to make the pass over our leader and trying to at least get a lap back for themselves. For Roy, going to be putting himself back on the lead lap. For Ashley, he'll be putting himself back to just 1 lap down, as Mark Whitley's little defense of lap cars, it is now gone. It is just clean air besides Stimpian in between that of Gil and our leader.
Yeah, I'd say what's not helping though is Gil right now having the battle with Derek Love. It looks like he got by him now in the 87 machine, so he should have some clean laps there. But last time by for Mark Whitley, 30.307 to Gil's 29.25, and Whitley too a 30.307. That's a end of a run lap time there almost. I mean he's got to be careful here. He's still got 25 to go here as he crosses the line. He could definitely end up still blowing the tire.
Well, we do got to remember he did get passed by 2 lap cars in that instant, so that's why he lost some time. But if there's any way for us to see a shot of the rear end of the 77, he has certainly gotten tapped a couple of times, and it looks like that dogleg damage has caught up to the 77. That rear end just looks toasted for himself.
Yeah, my question also is, we've seen Steven Leffler, he dropped back a little bit there. But my question is, did he do that strategically? Does he think I don't need to go out here and run, Whitley down exactly here, let Gil get ahead of me and try to drive my own race? Maybe not focusing on that 79 while the 79 has got that tunnel vision locked in on the 77 as he is now right there. I mean, it's less than a second.
Yeah, I think it is. I'll let him go. Conserve your race at this point. I mean, the biggest contender right now for Mark Whitley that he needs to worry about has to be Michael Yarrow, second in points. But you, Zach, you're a racer. I mean, when you got someone in your ear telling you about points, you might be thinking about it. But when you're just racing, do you ever really think about points in the middle of a season?
In the middle of the season, no. Personally, I race and think about points later. Now, when you got crazy playoff situations and points, you do need to understand where you're at. But this race here, none of that going on. So no points, where this is all about for the win and getting the best position you possibly can and fighting to the end of these final 22 laps. We'll see what Whitley has left in the tank. I don't think it's going to be much, as Gil's going to have probably a pretty easy pass. But we're going to have to ask what's left in the tires is the big question.
Yeah, that is honestly everyone's big question. Did you have, or what was left of that tread once we got to the end of this race? Still a question mark. For those final 15 laps, that's when the tension is going to rise a lot more for these drivers. As for Whitley, he has been out there for 32 laps on these tires, and he's been running very aggressive early on. For that of Gil, he's been out there for 23 laps. So there's just a 10-lap difference, but you're already seeing a 10th to 3/10 is the major difference between this and the 79 that we're on the nose of. And 77 Pepsi machine that they're trying to get by is Ashley. Gotta be careful as the lead lap driver's getting aggressive, and they were thinking about it, but there just wasn't enough room for Gil to make that move.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those pretty much Whitley is going to fight tooth and nail here every chance he's got to hold him off here. He knows that at some point the tires usually do even out here. If Whitley can just hold off the barrage. Oh, big snap oversteer there on the apron as he was trying to get a run. Here comes the run from Gil in the 79 machine. This may be it. What does Whitley have here on the outside? Can't do nothing. Gil clears. Does he cross back under? Looking to do it. But I think the 79 is going to have the power off as the 77 does get to the inside. No way, sir. The 79 to the lead. Gil, Alberto Tango.
Tango's got the lead for now, but we'll see through turns 3 and 4. Mark Whitley trying to dig as hard as he can. The 77, he's on the back bumper. He's at the quarter panel, but he slides once again. Same spot, coming off the exit of the corner. And that's going to be losing time, and you can kind of see what's going through Mark Whitley's mind. Get low on the apron, hope to get a better launch faster, and it just was too slick on the inside, burning up those tires. And with a little bit of a slide we're seeing, that's also causing more tire wear to the 77, who's already in a very precarious spot tire-wise coming to the end of this race.
What a show we're having here with 18 to go. Gil Alberto Tango making his presence known here at Sim Racing Unleashed, has pulled up here tonight and said, tires, I could make them last all day, boys. Here's the exits off of 2. He's trying to build that gap on Whitley. Whitley's done a good job not to let him pull away too quickly, but that gap is definitely starting to grow in size.
And don't forget about Steven Leffler. He's still in 3rd place, and he's been running very similar lap times of our front 2. A little bit overzealous on entry turn 3 that last time by, but certainly still a driver that's got some pace and keeping the distance within a second of our top 3. They're all there within a second of one another.
It's closing up front, like you said there, saying a second separating our top 3. Leffler may have played the masterclass strategy. Said, go ahead, Gil. I know what I need to do to save my tires. I've been planning this out from the beginning. Can Leffler pull himself up into the battle with 15 to go? Alberto Tango looking for his first win and of his career here at SRU, while the 2 drivers behind him look for a win here to add to their career list.
Alberto Tango came in rookie, first debut race here for Sim Racing Unleashed, and he's been putting on a show. It was looking to be aggressive early on, and when it came late, he just put himself in a prime spot to possibly win this thing, but he's got 2 hungry drivers. Steven Leffler looking for his first win this season, and he also got the driver that has the most wins of 4 with Mark Whitley in 2nd place. Whitley kind of looks like he's put out the best that he can. I think for Leffler, will Whitley put on the pressure and try to fight for that position? Will he let the 72 just go on by? That's probably going to be the biggest question, because if Leffler can get by without too much of a struggle, there could be a shot for the battle for the lead here late in this race. But if Whitley challenges for 2 to 3 laps, this is all the 79 show.
Yeah, I think that's a great point there. It's going to depend about this battle, and if I'm Whitley, and I think that Leffler's quick enough to get up to Gil, I'm going to let him go, man. That gives them a chance to go up there and let them 2 tango for the lead, as you never know what could happen for a battle for the lead within the final closing laps of a short track. So if you're 3rd, sometimes it's better to be in that position. But I know Whitley, he ain't going to give that position up without a fight. He's trying to fight for that 2nd place spot. He ain't worried about no ifs, ands, or buts. He's just trying to hold on to this position.
We're now in that zone of the drivers we've got to be worrying about. Will their tires last and make it? The drivers that are on my list: Mark Whitley, Michael Yarrow, as well as Todd Neese. Those drivers all in the top 5, but still have a shot at blowing their tire if they race too aggressive early on in this stint, which I think every single one of them was trying to gain and get a big enough lead to hold off the drivers behind them, which was great at the start of the run, but late in the run, that's when we get a little bit worrisome of where the driver's going to be at. But we're seeing it here. Mark Whitley, he's challenging, he's battling, he's not making it easy for Leffler, which is letting the 79 just pull away, as he's over 1.1 seconds is the difference between 1st and 2nd.
Oh, yeah, and it's one thing catching Mark Whitley, but it's a totally different story passing him. He's going to make that 77 two car lanes wide, as Leffler's going to have the fresher tires here as he comes off of 2. He did have a pretty good drive there. I don't know if he's able to make it work here. He might be able to dive it up the inside here down into 3. And if he does, he's going to have to be ambitious and just take it. Yes, he does clear him down here, slide up the racetrack, take that outer line, and that should be the 2nd place done for him. And let's see if he can put together a good final 10 laps here, as we got 9 to go.
9 laps to go. It's Gil Alberto Tango trying to get his first win in his first race at SRU. Steven Leffler, he is within a second of the 79, and he's looking for his first win as well. It's going to be between the 70 cars, the 72 and the 79, to see who's going to be getting the win. But still, the lingering topic that's been on everyone's mind all race long: whose tires will last to make it to the end? All the drivers that are in our front 2 looking good that they can make it to the end, but they were aggressive, brutalizing those tires, and it's still a question mark on if they are good to make it. As Mark Whitley, he did his best. He's looking to secure and hopefully survive to keep that 3rd place position.
If Whitley able to survive for 3rd, personally, it looked bleak for him at some points during this race with the way that first pit strategy call played out. If he's able to bring home the top 3, if I'm him, I got to be very happy with that, even though knowing I probably had the pace to beat here tonight. but just didn't have the tire strategy on lock.
Those drivers that stayed out, stretched out as long as they could. We knew Leffler was in a strategy to make it to the end with one more pit strategy. But man, Alberto Tango stretched it out practically the longest of all the drivers that were out there battling for the lead. And it was impressive to watch. You touched on it, Zach. That last stint before he came to pit road about 38 laps ago, he was saving since the start, which gave him that opportunity to have the freshest tires late in this race. And that's why he's up front, but he's still got some lap traffic in front of him. Gill's got to be hoping that they play nice. That's going to be where we find Steven Simpian, Jason Adams, as well as Kevin Roy. As for our leaders, I'm kind of hoping they don't catch up to this 3-car pack.
Oh, Alberto Tango makes a huge mistake. He's into the inside wall, loses the lead. It is all over for the 79 here in a matter of seconds.
It just looked like maybe the tire blew on him on the exit of the corner. He just lost all grip, and it launched him into the outside wall. The driver that had the best call to probably win this race has now gifted the lead to Steven Leffler. But like we said, the final 15 to 10 laps, the question of whose tires are going to last, it's still out there. Even though Leffler's in the lead with over 2.8 seconds, he's got to limp this car to the end.
How it changes in a matter of moments. Here goes Whitley trying to get the second position back from Gill. This is crazy. Does the 79 have enough to limp back around to even hold on the third? Yarrow is not that far behind, about a straightaway back if that 79 is really hurt.
Man, look at the pace that these drivers are putting down. I believe that Kevin Roy is a driver that is on an absolute go. He needs to try to run down our leaders if he wants a shot, because Steven Leffler has backed down his pace by over 2 to 3 tenths. After seeing that, he's in one of those drivers that's kind of in a, oh boy, he's shaking in his boots. 2 laps to go. Will he have the tires to make it? Who else might have a blow up here in these last 2 laps?
Man, oh man. How do we call this one, boys, with 2 to go? Leffler just needs to make it back. Oh, about a 5-second gap back to Whitley. He may have played this race right, getting that lucky dog. It played out perfectly for this man. Coming to look to take the white flag and hopefully make it back with no issues.
Leffler doing his best, coming out of turn number 4. Steven Leffler to the white flag. This race is ending once they get back to the line. And another driver, Cedric Hunter, he wasn't able to make it. He had to take a tow. That Cedric Hunter's not able to make it. Leffler's up front. Holy moly, it's still shaking up on who's going to make it to the end. As the 72 coming around the final bend, it's looking like Steven Leffler's got this. No one else is close. The 72 coming out of turn number 4 here at Phoenix. The survival of the tires goes to Steven Leffler.
Oh, man, what a drive from that man here to win tonight at Phoenix. Sam, that was so amazing. What a drive for him here at the Street Side Classics 200 at the Phoenix Raceway. Oh, man, that was one of the wildest races I've ever seen.
You just never knew. And Mark Whitley able to get a second place, and Alberto Tango, you knew he had a sense it was going to be a great win if he could just survive, but just too aggressive, getting loose with 4 laps to go, coming to 3 laps to go, and sees his lead drift away, but luckily still a top 3 finish. And what a debut race it was for the 79, from the penthouse to the doghouse so quickly.
Oh, how it can happen. It can happen so fast here as Leffler looks to celebrate. And the thing that I'll tell you what, he's lucky still out for Alberto Tango, because I believe he did have the meatball, and his last really 5 laps didn't count for lap time, so he's lucky that is going to stand for 3rd place at the moment for him. So man, that could have ended up really worse for him if you'd have got disqualified.
Yeah, could have really dropped him back if he got disqualified. Could have dropped all the way back to possibly 15th or 14th position. As Steven Leffler gets to burn it down. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Zach Hall going to be interviewing our top 3, Steven Leffler, Mark Whitley, And also Gil Alberto Tango. We'll be right back in just a few.
All right, we are back here, everyone, for our post-race interviews after tonight's race here at the Phoenix Raceway for the Street Side Classics 200 for race number 9 of the Sim Racing Unleashed Cup Series here with the Next Gen Cup Series car. But let's go ahead and get our third place man up here of Gil Alberto Tango, and we'll get a real pronunciation of his name because hopefully we haven't been slandering it too bad all night. So let's hear from the number 79 after just coming up short here for race win number 1 in race number 1. Hey, Gil, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man? Hey, you got a copy, Gil?
Hi, don't speak English well. Thank League Sim Racing Unleashing. And congrats, Steven, for the win.
Well, thank you very much, sir. How would you pronounce your name so we can make it right? Your first name.
My first name is Guillermo, and nickname Guille.
Thank you very much for that. Well, congrats on your race tonight. You did a fantastic job, man, coming up just a little bit short there for that race victory. Before we let you get out of here, man, anybody else you want to send a shout to for a great race tonight in your first one out here?
Thank you. I can't believe it. I lost my car 2 laps to win. I can't believe it. My error.
Yeah, definitely. Just coming up a little bit short, man. It was fun to watch. Congrats on third tonight. Just coming up a little bit short, and we will catch you next time out there, man.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right, guys. That was number 79 of Alberto Tango there. What a great race for him tonight. Just cut up a little bit short, and awesome to hear from him there. So definitely be looking for him to come for the rest of the season here. That number 79 machine, great job by him. But let's go ahead and move on to our second place man, Mark Whitley, our points leader, and really been the dominant guy of the race. Let's hear how he saved his tires. Hey, Mark, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yep, got you loud and clear.
Hey, man, well, what a wild race. A lot of times we talk about pace and other things like strategy in the race, but tonight it was all about tire wear. Seems like the tires were a premium, man. How tough was that to make your strategy work, especially with that early pit stop in the going?
Yeah, I did a lot of they felt like long runs, but they were only about 20 lap runs during practice, and I saw how much we were eating that right front up, and I knew there wasn't going to be no way we could go a full fuel run on those tires, and you were going to have to be real gentle on them. So my goal, my plan was just to split it up 50 since we had four sets of tires. That first caution came out, and it was a little bit earlier than I was hoping that they would come out, and I really didn't want to take the tires, but I knew if I didn't, some people were going to, and I'd wind up a lap down, kind of like Stimp and them wound up with, and I really didn't want to be a lap down, even with fresh tires, so I was like, I'll just go and take them and just baby them. So that whole race, probably not even a handful of laps, I actually ran hard. I mean, I think I just looked up, my fastest lap was almost 4/10 off what I qualified at, so it was all about conserving the tires from the get-go. As soon as you got, I mean, on the front straightaway, we in qualifying, you were going to the 2, maybe even a little bit past the 2. But during the race, I mean, I almost started the run hitting it at the 3, just letting off so easy, just trying to save that right front as much as I can. And then 3 and 4, I was trying to straddle the apron and get it to rotate a little bit and help use the right rear up and not kill the right front. It helped a little bit, but not as much as I hoped. And then the whole race just kind of was, the caution always came out about 10 laps before it needed to really make the 50-50-50 work. But that last caution we had, it kind of caught Leffler and Gill up a little bit, and they had about 10-15 lap fresher tires, so they eventually came up there and passed us. And I came into pit road because I knew my tires were about to be shot, and it was like 53 to go, I think, and my right front literally blew out while I was on pit road. So I'm like, well, that was perfect timing. So, and I knew I just had to make those last tires last, was it 53 laps or 52 or whatever. So I kind of drove it a little bit harder at the beginning, but then I kind of backed up because I knew I'd have a big lead with them pitting so much later. But it didn't really matter on the long run. They had 10 lap fresher tires, and the big gap I had didn't really matter because I had so much lap traffic that also pitted. They were on fresh tires. I was having to let them go, so I gave up too much time. And then once Gill got to me, I was trying to fight him, but then I realized if I keep fighting him, I'm going to blow the right front, and I'm going to wind up 10th. So I'd rather be second than 10th. And then so I let him go, and then Leffler came up on me, and the same thing. I was holding him off a little bit, but I'm like, I don't really want to blow the tire, so I just kind of let him go. And then I don't know what happened up there with Gill. All I know is came off turn 4 one lap, and he's down there at the bottom, and then he's got heavy damage, almost smoking, so I was able to get by him and babied that right front all the way back home for the last 5 laps. And I got in the pits after the race, and I looked at it, the middle spot of the right front was at 0, so it was about to blow any second. So timed it about right on that run too.
Yeah, but yeah, that was some wild stuff we see there tonight. Guys having to stretch it with the tires. You did a great job to make your strategy work and still come home with a good finish, man. So congrats on second here tonight, Mark. And man, what a wild race it was. But before we let you get out of here, man, and head off the next week, anybody wants to shout out to?
I'll just give a shout out to my family tuning in. I know they're watching. Shout out to y'all for putting on this great broadcast. It should be interesting to go back and watch. I know my right arm's about done, so I'll have to ice it up here before the week starts. But give a shout out to the fans tuning in. That's what we do it for. Put on the show and try to entertain them, bring in more fans. So hopefully we can get a little bit bigger turnout next year. Kind of a little bit less than the last couple seasons, but you know what? We got a good group of guys here, so as long as we keep that together, we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good time here, buddy. So congrats on second, Mark. We'll catch you next week, man. You have a great night, man.
All right, thanks, Zach.
All right, that was Mark Whitley, your second place man tonight, but also your points leader. So a great race or season it's been for him so far, coming home with another great finish. But the guy who survived it, like Sam said, and brought it home with the tires is the driver who won, and that's Steven Leffler here tonight in that 72 machine. Let's hear from him on his first victory of this season here at the Phoenix Raceway. Hey, Steven, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, man. How's it going, Zach?
It is going great, Steven. I tell you what, tonight was a race of, man, just hard to keep up with all the action you guys put out there with the tires blown out left and right for guys. It always seemed up in the air who was going to have something down to the end. And in the closing laps, man, you get up into second, and then, wow, just take us through that final moment as the 79 makes that mistake.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I was putting the pressure on him the last, what was that, 7 laps before that happened. I really don't think I had a chance to catch him, but I think he knew that I was pressing really hard to get to him, and it looked like he came off of 4 and just spun the tires. And at first, I actually reacted by hitting the brakes because I didn't know. It really caught me off guard, so I kind of hit the brakes. And then once I realized he was going back across the track to the inside, I really throttled it up, and that's really where I made a big mistake because I drove it way deep into 1 and couldn't get it slowed down. The RPMs were so high I couldn't get it to downshift to use the engine to slow it down. So I just hard on the brakes as much as I could to keep it from really killing the right front, and I was able to bounce it off and just keep going. But man, I was not expecting that. I mean, I would have liked to have got up to him, with the white flag, 1 to go, and made a good, try to make a clean pass on him. But man, it's been 5 seasons or so since I won a race in Sim Racing Unleashed. Ever since I took over admin duties, it's kind of really hard to focus on, running a good clean race, getting to the end. So this is, I guess I'll take this, as a, I don't know, a once in a lifetime. I don't know, man. I can't even think straight because it's I was not expecting to win this race and to come out on top, man. What a mind blowing finish.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, it definitely, well, I can't say caught us off guard because we've seen you, Stampian, and Cedric Hunter also on that similar strategy of not taking the tires on that very first stop of the race. So we thought you guys would be in similar spots, but you ended up getting that lucky dog with that caution there. How big a factor do you feel like that was? Because man, that puts you on the lap with them with fresher tires and really sets you up for that, I feel like.
Well, I try not to blame iRacing with some stuff, but tonight I really have to thank iRacing for pit stop issue because when I pitted the first time, apparently my car didn't get full of fuel, so I only made it to lap 97, and that was fairly close to after the leaders pitted. So I came in, got 4 fresh tires and fuel, and then right after that the caution came out. So it kind of helped me out, to be honest, because I would have definitely ran a lot longer, probably wouldn't have been in the lucky dog position in the first place. So really, kind of a struck Jesus. Let me think straight. I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm just so freaked out over here. A stroke of luck is what it was. The fact that the car didn't get full, because it definitely changed my strategy. I was trying to go to 125, which was around the time that the caution came out, but the fact that I came in a little bit early, I think it set me up to be in the lucky dog position. So it just worked out. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I usually don't have races that go this smooth, and even when I got behind early on, it just set back, took a deep breath, and just went on with it. So mind blown, man. I just can't believe how tonight went. What a race.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, it was fun to watch from us up here in the booth. As soon as we started seeing the situation with tires, we heard from practice a few guys talking about it. And as soon as we started seeing that situation, we knew something wild was going to happen. And, man, you took a hold of those reins. And sometimes it's good to be on the lucky end of things, and you played it right once you had that strategy dealt to you, man. So great job pulling off the win here tonight. First one of the season. Like you said, the first one in a few seasons, man. So that's great to see for yourself in that 72 machine. But before we let you get out here and go celebrate this thing, who helps make it happen on that 72 car?
Yeah, of course, the 22Q Family Foundation. They've been with me for a couple of years, being able to run their colors, put their name on my hood, and get them to put their name on a couple of races this year is pretty awesome. My daughter actually has 22Q, so it's really nice being able to show those colors, put their name up there. And then, of course, even on the passenger side of my car, on the windowsill, having my daughter's name up there too. So 22Q Family Foundation, all the guys at SRU, all the fellow admins who helped me run this league, week in and week out. Of course, you guys for broadcasting it for us. We wouldn't enjoy it as much being able to go back and watch the replays of the races, or even have family and friends watch it. So thanks to you guys. And then, of course, all the guys on my team, 22Q Racing. So shout out to everyone who's got a piece in this tonight. And man, I still can't believe it. I'll probably be in shock for the next couple of days, to be honest, because it's been a long time coming.
Well, I tell you what, man, pinch yourself because it's come true, buddy. So, man, I tell you what, have a great night. Go celebrate this thing, and we'll catch you next week, Steven, and hopefully you can keep some of this momentum build up, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful night.
You too, buddy. All right, everybody. That was your race winner here tonight for the Street Size Classic 200 of Steven Leffler and that 72 machine. What a night it was for him in that car, able to pull off the win as we go ahead and pull up our race results here from Sim Racing's Unleash's Next Gen Cup Series. Steven Leffler will be able to bring home that victory. Second place is going to go to points leader Mark Whitley. Alberto Tango is going to come home in that third position. Fourth is going to go to Michael Yarrow. Fifth is going to be Todd Neese. Sixth is going to end up in the hands of Brad Delph. Seventh is going to be Kevin Roy. Eighth, Steven Stippian. Ninth is going to be Brandon Hartwell. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be Clifton Ashley in the 10 machine. 11th is going to go to Derek Love. 12th is going to be Cedric Hunter. 13th is going to go to Dave Bush. 14th, Mike Chamberlain. 15th is going to go to Jason Adams. 16th is going to be Rodrigo Loga. 17th, Mark Koscheck. 18th, Keith Hurlbut. 19th, James Bryant. 20th is going to be Jason Adams. And rounding out your field is the 21 machine of Hunter Hayward in the 21st position, as that's your race results here tonight from Sim Racing Unleashed. Sam, what a night of racing we've seen here. More blown tires than I ever can remember, and I think as many tires as we'll see blow for a long time, at least hopefully for the driver's sake. But, man, it shook it up wild for us up here in the booth.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we already come into these Sunday night races with the next-gen cars of what are we going to even see? A lot of unknowns week after week, but here tonight, adding on the level of are the tires even going to survive, certainly gave us a little bit of stress, a lot of stress for the drivers as well. Once they hit the green, they knew it was all about the racing of the tires, not really racing one another, as Steven Leffler gets the win. Zach, I mean, we got to see the unknown for the last couple of weeks of going to Bristol, Darlington, and here tonight, Phoenix, but we kind of go back to what we had for those first 7 races where we had Hunter Hayward and Mark Whitley dominate. We're going back to mile and a half racing at Kansas.
Yeah, we've seen this car be very much of a pack style racing where you can't get away from each other, those style tracks, so I'm sure more of that will come. What I'm interested, though, is Kansas. We've seen lately on iRacing to be one of the more multi-groove tracks. That could suit this next-gen car very well, so don't miss out on that racing action next Sunday. So, man, once again, just some more great action here on this Sunday, Sam. I've had a great time up here in the booth. And, again, thank you all for tuning in out there. It's a pleasure to call the action, and thank you, everybody out there in the chat chatting it up here tonight, as it's been a fantastic way to call it. But I guess we'll send it up to our producer now, Robert Moyer Jr., to close out tonight's broadcast.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Sam and Zach, for calling this awesome race here tonight. Man, it's we're gonna. I don't want to sing the song to call it to get a copyright strike on us, but it's like Eye of the Tiger, except it's Eye of the Tires. I mean, holy mackerel! I don't recall ever calling a race or even watching a race with so many blown tires. It's wow, something different, something to take notes. Here for the future, and the next time any league or these guys come back to this track, could be very, very interesting. But like you said, we'll be off to Kansas next week. Here with Sim Racing Unleashed at 7:50 Eastern, with Sam Dyer and Zach Hall calling all that action. I also want to say thank you to everybody out there on YouTube for interacting with us and chatting it up. We do much appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of the action. And also don't forget to go check us out on Facebook at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as there's a post on there for a giveaway with Marconi Setup Shop. You get 1 hour of your choosing if you enter, and you win 1 hour of coaching from eNASCAR driver or one of their drivers that they have that does the coaching. All you got to do is just enter, and hopefully you'll win within a month, and find out at the end of the month who wins that one. But our next broadcast will be with Evolution Racing League, as they're heading off to Pocono with their ARCA cars and Cup cars Tuesday night at 7:20 and also at 9:20 Eastern Standard Time as their season is winding down. But until then, we want to say have a great week. We'll catch you everybody on Tuesday. But until then, God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.